quite a few people on YouTube lately have been talking about religion, just as a general topic of religion. To me, it's a separate issue from, it's separate from the theist debates, which are never-ending on YouTube. It's also separate from whether or not you believe in a God concept or what you're... Well, I guess I can't say that completely, but these are all different issues. Your God concept is definitely central to both of these issues. But religion's a lot more than, true believers in earnest worship of a God concept, inerrant truth and all that. To start with, I think religion started with mainly a reason, man looking for explanations. The same reason we have science is the same reason we have religion. And I've always said that religion was just the junk science of the day, of the old time. So people wanted explanations, how did we come here? What are we here for? What are we doing? What should we do? What shouldn't we do? And there's always people who want to give answers. So religions are in high demand, I suppose I would say. Not to cast aspersions onto any particular prophet. So, a lot of what religion is just a scientific explanation, a substitute for science that didn't have the science. So they wanted explanations, they wanted answers. Seekers have questions, they want their questions answered. You look wise if you can make words that sound like an answer. I think that's definitely part of it. Also, religion's heavily borrowed from each other. The Trinity concept can be found in religions way before Christianity. Obviously Hinduism and Buddhism. But the Trinity goes way back. So a lot of these basic tenets of religion have been borrowed and used, reused, recycled, different angles on it. I always think that Christianity kind of reformed Judaism, at least in some people's minds, and just like the Islam, it can be looked at as a reforming Christianity. Buddhism can be looked at as reforming Hinduism, kind of turn some of the concepts upside down and put a new angle on it all. But in the end of it, it's all just, it's all just seekers asking questions. So, and then part of the questions is the junk science aspect of it, and science has replaced religion to quite a bit, as far as the explanation part of it goes. There's still faith, though. People want to have faith, and that's a whole other topic in a way. Ozzy Osbourne said you have to believe in foolish miracles, and when it comes to religion or following any path, there is a point where you have to suspend disbelief. To learn any new path or any new philosophy, you kind of have to just go with it and learn it. But on the whole, I've kind of rejected religion just because I've studied so many of them. I see how common they are and how against each other they all are. It kind of puts a bad taste in my mouth for the topic of religion itself. And religion, there's a matter of belief versus practice. There's the true believers who have absolute faith. And then there's the ne'er-do-well, the average type follower in a church who is just kind of getting their God insurance done for the week. They go every week and then they don't really think about it too much after that. It's kind of getting their God insurance done, well, if there is a God and if this religion is right, and typically it's the religion of their parents, they figure they have to make alms to it's God insurance rather than true belief for a lot of people. And let's admit it, for a lot of people it's a social club. The women come to see how the other women are dressed, and the fancy hats and that kind of stuff. And trade gossip and all the social aspects of a social club, basically. So, a lot of people are religious for different reasons. And not all of them are true believers. A lot of them are agnostics. And maybe a small fraction of them are even atheists. At heart. They would probably never admit it. So, as I always end up getting around to, the whole nexus of everything is your God concept. If you believe if you put up God as a guy who sits on a throne and makes judgments, and he's a man in a throne who makes judgments. He's a Superman in a throne and makes judgments. He's kind of a Santa Claus God in a throne, bestowing gifts and judgments. I don't know. To me, if that's your concept of God, well, then count me an atheist. If, again, going to my previous video on atheist versus theist debates, to me it goes to the very fabric of matter itself. How did that happen? Is there a reason for, is there a reason for is there a reason for existence, period? Much less the complicated texture of matter that we live in here. So, I don't know. I don't want to keep repeating everything I said in the other video I made on atheist versus theist debates. That kind of explains how I really feel about most of this. But to me, religion for a great number of people is just about conformist comfort. It's a matter of getting your God insurance done, fitting in with your friends, going along to get along, I don't know. I've always looked at religion through the disdain of, just a heavy drive to conformity. I don't think anybody with a deep spirituality can, that's my judgment, I guess, though. To say that you can't be deeply spiritual and enmeshed in a particular religion, and only that religion, I guess that's another topic for debate, I suppose. But it seems to me, though, if you're really a true seeker of truth, then you're going to have to investigate what other people say about truth, rather than just accepting the religion of your parents, as the absolute. You have to go out there and open your mind and see if what other people are saying makes sense. Open yourself to their context. I think they call it syntronics or something like that, where you get into the vernacular of the people you're, trying to understand. You kind of suspend disbelief for a little while. You try to understand in what sense is what they're saying, in what sense is what they're saying could be true. Anyway, I guess I don't have a whole lot more to say about religion. I wish I had the faith, and I guess, to some extent, and they've always said it, you have to have a certain amount of faith. And this law of attraction stuff, which you can really follow without being religious, per se, that's all about faith as well. You have to do the as-if principle. You have to go about things as if the reality that you intend is the real reality, you know, and then make it reality, to put it poorly. But it's hard to not be judgmental, and myself, I have to resist the temptation to be judgmental of other people's beliefs, even if they seem primitive. It's just not cool to attack other people's beliefs, you know, especially in spiritual beliefs. I can't prove they're wrong. I can't prove that there isn't a great spaghetti monster. Who always uses that? Great spaghetti monster, I think it's Ankavad. I can never say his name, that he uses on YouTube. Ankavad. Well, anyway, this is all somewhat of a reply to him and Conference Report and Corey and others who've been doing YouTubes on religion. So I just want to get my 2 cents in, I guess. In general, it's not too cool to confront people on their religious beliefs. If they're your personal friend, they know you, they probably know what they're in for, and you know, that's different than a stranger. A lot of people, it's like a security blanket. You don't want to rip it away from them. And they're probably not going to think too much of you if you try to challenge them. You know, if someone's willing to come up and debate with you, that's a different subject. They're asking for it. But to just clobber strangers with, you know, how foolish their belief is, I don't know. Not much point in that. And the problem with going out without cross-country skis, when the snow is this deep, once in a while you punch through. We still got about 3 feet of snow here, and it's no fun when you punch through. Well, another thing that irritates me, you know, I've said that religion was just the junk science of the day when it was made, which I know isn't totally true, because people are still looking for a solution to the problem of existence, which even now science doesn't really answer completely. I mean, you got the Big Bang Theory, but there's some holes in that whole thing. It just says God itself is a big hole. I mean, who made God? Who made the matter that started the Big Bang, you know, or energy? Neither one really solves the whole issue of, you know, how this all came about. Not completely, anyway. I guess we just have to accept that there always was something. But it really irritates me when people say that science is just another religion. I really have a special irritation to the anti-science, anti-intellectual movement that's getting real popular in this country now. We can deny global warming even though 95% of the scientists, you know, have analyzed the stuff and say it's happening, and it's the fault of humanity. You know, you look at the CO2 rates and everything else. But as long as there's one scientist who denies it, then, or even if there isn't, you know, they'll just say, oh, that's just intellectual nonsense. So we've got quite an anti-science movement in this country, mainly with the billionaires. Anyone who wants to deny that pollution is having any problem, you know, go ahead and continue to smoke your cigarette. Cigarettes aren't harmful. Cigarettes aren't addictive. You know, we heard that forever until it was conclusively proved, you know, to be false. It's the same thing with these people who want to just keep polluting nonstop, you know, and defacing the environment. Even though the Bible tells you to be a good steward, you know, to me, most Christians and conservatives are so anti-Christian. I don't know what Bible they read. You know, I know I'm getting off on a rant on something else here. You know, where we shower billionaires with favors, and the poor are these horrible people who don't deserve anything. You know, I don't find that in the Bible. Sorry. Well, let me leave that topic alone for right now, though. You know, to a strong extent, I do believe that religion was mainly a substitute for science. When we didn't know anything, you know, religion gave us a way to pretend we knew. You know, pretend to have answers that we didn't have. So I really reject that science is religion. You know, if you can prove something, it may not solve the ultimate question, but, you know, science is not religion. I'm sorry. It can have religious aspects. You know, I'll grant you that. People who believe in science that turns out to be bogus. You know, people can cling to their beliefs in a religious-like way. But ultimately, science, the scientific method, you know, prevails. You know, you may give Galileo and someone else a hard time, but eventually their ideas are proved. You look at what they did to poor Tesla. You know, Edison was a brilliant man and understood a lot of things, but he was not the brilliant man that Tesla was. And mankind, not to mention both Tesla and Edison, would have been a lot better off if he would have kept Tesla happy and listened to his ideas instead of, you know, fighting with him in almost a religious-like fashion.